Hello everyone, welcome to this part of the video in which we are going to cover install SQL Server from the command prompt. So to see what parameters are there when we are installing SQL Server from command prompt, I suggest you to Google about install SQL Server from command prompt, which will guide you to this link, which I will paste into this tutorial as well into the document section. So if you go to docs.microsoft.com and follow this link, just read through this link, installing a new instance of SQL Server at the command prompt using the options. Now, if you read this note, we can use these -q and -qs parameters to install the SQL Server in a silent mode or a simple mode by using the quiet modes. Uh, if you go a little further down into this, you will see this section which mentions SQL Server parameters. So in this section, we are going to use installation parameters as we are going to install a new standalone instance. So if you click here, you will get all bunch of installation parameters, and there is a description right in front of those options. So read through this. In this section of the video, we are going to install a standalone instance. Using a quiet mode means the SQL Server will be installed in the background, so no GUI will be available to see, but you can use -qs to see the progress of the installation. In the later part of the videos, we will cover how to install SQL Server on a Windows cluster environment. But to limit to this tutorial, we are going to install SQL Server a standalone instance using the command prompt parameters. So I have logged into my SQL Server via virtual machine, and we are going to install the SQL Server instance from command prompt. So let's search for command prompt on the server, right click and run as administrator. We need to provide the location of our binaries where we have this setup.exe. So you can see we have this setup.exe here. So copy that path, paste that. Now we have to use setup.exe and the subsequent parameters to install the SQL Server instance. So I have prepared the command which I will paste into the document section here. So let's search for the option Q. Oh, oops, really sorry. We don't need to search that here. We go back here and Control F and backslash and Q. So if you see when installing through the command prompt, the SQL Server support full quiet mode by using /q parameter, or quiet simple mode by using /qs parameter. The QS switch only shows progress, does not accept any input, as I stated earlier that the one way of doing the installation is that using /q mode, which will do the installation in a quiet mode in the background, but you can see the setup.exe running from this task manager. With QS option, you will see the quiet mode, the GUI mode, but you won't be able to input anything and you can monitor the progress. Now going back into the server, the first option is that we are going to select the action is install, because we are going to install a new feature. So these are a couple of options which you need to read through, that what basically you are going to do in the action mode. So let's update this. Put an enter here. And instance name. So whatever the instance name you want to put. So for example, the instance name and the instance ID for me is same. So I'm going to put SG1. I'm based in Singapore. So I just want to put it like this. Then the SQL Server service account, which I have mentioned earlier, and the password, the SQL Server admin, the person who's installing, has to be added so that they can access the instance once the installation is done. Then the agent service account and the agent service account password. Now, organizations tend to have different service account name for SQL Server Engine and SQL Server Agent Services, but for the sake of the installation, I'm just using the same account here, and then accepting the license term. Now, one thing I want to cover here is that in terms of feature installation, there are different features, uh, but for this installation, I'm going to keep it only the feature as the SQL Server Engine and the default replication. But if you go here in the installation parameters, install parameters, here you will see bunch of options for installing. So let me search it for you, features. So if you click here, feature parameter, in this feature parameter, I'm using the SQL Server. So does this SQL Server by default install SQL Server Engine, replication, full text, DQS, Polybase, and advanced analytics. So all these features will be installed if I choose the parameter as SQL. If I go and just used SQL Server Engine, it will just install the SQL Server Engine. But for here right now, I'm going to install SQL Server passing as a parameter into the features. All set and done. So let's just copy this command. For the sake of this, let's use QS. Okay, now it's in a straight line. Let's put it in go back to the command prompt. Just paste it here. Just copy this command. And let's confirm this QS option. Action is equal to install. All the passwords are there. Just check the names. Administrators. Password is there. Administrator. Password is there. Service account. Wonderful. So let's enter. So it will just bring up the GUI and continue with the installation, and we can monitor the screens and the progress. So as you can see, so now the installation will progress. So the installation is done. Let's have a quick check. So let's open our SQL Server Management Studio. So let's check the instances. The instances you're seeing right now is from my previous installations. But anyways, we will go to the local server and select the installed instance. Connect. So the instance is installed correctly. We are able to connect it. So in the next video, we will be seeing how to install it in a quiet in a background mode. So tune in for the next video. Thank you.